Autumn brings us cooler weather, gorgeous foliage, and the harvest season. Nashoba Valley Winery in Bolton, Massachusetts has everything that makes fall in New England so incredible. It's no wonder that owner Richard Pelletier and his staff are very busy this time of year.
In the fall season, we have a restaurant which is open year-round, but because of the foliage and the apple picking, we're booked about 3 weeks in advance. We have a brewery that we're expanding this winter. You know, we're coming up on I think, 35th anniversary or something like that of making wine. And we try to feature not only grapes grown in New England, but other fruits grown in New England. And I think people that come out with an open mind are going to be surprised at how palatable other wines can be when they're made correctly.
Many of us associate grapes, and only grapes, with wine. In the late 1970s, Jack Partridge became interested in making wines using fruits native to New England.
There was a gentleman named Jack Partridge, and his dream was always, and we've tried to carry it on, to focus on fruits that are grown in New England. Jack, at that time, grapes were not being grown in New England, wine grapes were not being grown in New England. So Jack focused primarily on apples and pears and the cranberry apple wine, which he takes credit for inventing. He actually started in the basement of his house in Somerville. Jack's vision was to eventually buy a New England farm, and he was fortunate enough to find Clemens Farm at the time, which is now Nashoba Valley Winery.
The fruits used to create each of the many varieties of wine come from the orchards and vineyards on site.
In his effort to experiment and diversify, Jack ended up planting 2 and 3 and 4 trees of every different variety that he could think of. Dennis Wagner was the original orchard manager, and he was friendly with a gentleman down in Virginia that got him a bunch of cuttings. And so they started this diverse orchard, trying to find the perfect apple to make the perfect wines and the different styles of it. And so I was fortunate enough to inherit an orchard that has 90 different varieties of apples. What we trade off is our apples aren't the prettiest apples, because the antique apples generally, like a russet skin, is very hard and difficult to bite through sometimes. But the flavor is like off the Richter scale.
And those flavors translate into some pretty outstanding wine as well.
And cranberry apple wine is actually our biggest seller, along with blueberry wine, and actually strawberry rhubarb is starting to take hold and give cranberry apple a run for its money after about 25 years. So when some people come to me and they say, how can you make wine out of strawberries? Yeast loves sugar. It doesn't matter the source of the sugar. So once you do fermentation, and then you basically store the wines and you try to clarify the wines through storage and aging. Oak barrels are kind of like a spice rack for a chef. If you just ferment wines and store them in stainless and age them in stainless, then you're going to end up with, a real fruit-forward wine. So apple's going to taste like apple, but if you take that same apple and you oak age it, you're going to start imparting some oxygen to it, which barrels breathe a little bit, but you're also going to get some of the flavor components of the different woods that you use.
These wines are available on site at the Nashoba Valley Wine Shop. You can also order a glass to go along with a meal at Jay's Restaurant.
I used to own restaurants previously, and I used to always tell everybody, if you're going to own a restaurant business, you better be there 24/7. And I've proven myself wrong in this situation, because I have such phenomenal staff. Keith Desjardins is our executive chef, and he's just a culinary stud. I mean, there's no other way to put it.
The Jay's Restaurant staff prepares and serves dishes made using as many locally produced ingredients as possible. Menu items reflect what is available and in season in Massachusetts and across New England.
We're always focusing on things that are made here in Massachusetts. So when you come to our restaurant, it's a Massachusetts experience, and that's what it'll always be. If you pay a little bit more for our experiences, because we're supporting local farmers, and you can feel good about the fact that when other companies say they're local, we're really the local guru.
In case wine isn't your thing, the restaurant also serves beer that is brewed on site.
I started the brewery in the late 90s because we started doing weddings and we started the restaurant and everything, and my commitment was to the town was that we would only serve at the restaurant and at weddings beer and wines that we made here on the property.
Even after all the trees are bare and all the apples have been picked, there's still plenty to do year-round at Nashoba Valley Winery.
Not only think of Nashoba Valley Winery during harvest, but also think of Nashoba Valley Winery throughout the year, so that you want to keep coming back. We have an incredible wine shop. We have some great retail products and everything. 7 days a week we do wine tastings, we do cooking demonstrations throughout the winter, but we're busy all year round, so the thing I'd say to everybody out there is make sure you plan some time in the winter to come out to Nashoba.